Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Today I'm here to talk about my recent DNFs. Usually I'm really good at choosing books that I'm going to like, but sometimes even I miss the point and I have to not finish the book because I don't enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first book that I'm going to talk about is loved on BookTube, so I expect a lot of hate in the comments and I don't care about it. Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It's a sci-fi young adult series, and it's supposed to be great because it has an original narration. It is full of case files, letters, text messages, and it's something I've seen in the Night film by Marisha Passel and really enjoyed. I loved the format, but in this case the book was ruined for me with the starting pages. The first mistake this book made is that it failed to hold my attention. The first character that we meet is a teenage girl that just broke up with her boyfriend, and I simply don't care about that. There's a much more important thing happening at the same time as she narrates her breakup. The Earth is getting attacked by aliens, and the alien part I was much more interested to know more about, but I couldn't get past the annoying characters, and I didn't continue with the book. The immediate thought that I've got from this first chapter is that it's going to be a teenage drama that could be contemporary, but it's set in space. The second book was a surprise for me because I expected to love it. It's by Santino Hassel, and I love Santino Hassel. He writes amazing romance novels. It was a book in the Cyberlove series, the first book of which I didn't like. I forced myself to finish, and it is written with a co-author named Megan Erickson. I'm not here to blame Megan Erickson for writing bad books because I didn't read her other stuff, but their creative duo is just not working for me. People were telling me that the second book in the series is better, and I tried it and I had to DNF it. The second book is called Fast Connections, and it follows another army guy, and I just figured out that I just don't like this topic. I'm not interested in military, I'm not interested in people that are serving in military, and after I realized it, I just DNF'd this book, and I'm not planning to continue with the series. If you're subscribed to me for a while, you know that I don't like poetry. I don't read poetry, I never liked it in high school or university. It's not that I'm not capable of understanding poetry, it's just I don't care for it, and I don't care for sitting and contemplating what it means or what it might mean. I did symbolism and literature in university. It was a great class, I loved it, and I loved picking apart literature, by which I mean prose. But I'm just not about poetry. The same rule I have with plays, I cannot read them, I find them boring. I want to see them acted out on stage because they were written for stage. I think that poetry also should be presented. So when I read poetry right from a book, I don't feel anything. I feel a little cheesy, to be honest. But I was trying to branch out, and I picked up Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. It's modern, and you should probably start with classic poetry if you want to get into it. But I thought that the modern structure is going to make it easier for me, and it didn't. And of course I thought that her poetry was cheesy because I simply don't like poetry, and also because it wasn't complex enough for me. It was one note, and I also thought that a meaning of one poem could be condensed to a tweet. So I wasn't a big fan. Probably not going to try poetry again because it's just not working for me. Another super popular fantasy young adult book that I had to DNF is Truth Witch by Susan Dent. I'm going to confess that I really wanted to love it because the fandom is amazing and the people in it are all great, but sadly, I didn't like it. I think that the world Susan Denner tried to create was too wide for this book. She stuffed the first book with a lot of information that was hard to process, and also continued to include a lot of non-stop action, not allowing the characters to simmer and develop in a slower, more delicate manner. I also wasn't a fan of one of the main characters. I think her name is Sophie. She was very childish. If I didn't know her her real age in the books. I think she is a 12-year-old. She constantly whines, constantly acts like a baby. I really liked her friend, but her I just couldn't stand, and it's hard to read a book where you don't like the main character. I appreciate Susan Dennard's attempt to make this book about friendship, because in the center of this book is two female characters who are childhood friends. But this book very quickly dives into the romantic relationships. The romantic interests were shown very obviously, and they were the cliché romantic interests that you expect to see in young adult novels. So I wasn't a big fan of that. It completely ruined the concept of the book being about friendship to me. In my opinion, this book is just elevated Vampire Academy. Vampire Academy is also about two female friends that have adventures and that meet hot men during those adventures. And the last book was surprising even for me. It's The High King's Golden Tongue by Megan Dare. This book was recommended a lot to me in the comments of LGBTQ+ related videos, and I was very excited because it's a fantasy book about queer people. I read a lot of those and I am ready to read more all the time, and I was hoping that this book is going to be great, but in my opinion it was just unedited fan fiction. I usually love the fantasy world where people of any gender can get married to each other, but that was it for this book. It was basically the only thing that I enjoyed. It is about the youngest heir to the throne that was raised and molded into the perfect consort for the king of another kingdom. The concept is okay, there's a lot of things that could be done with this concept, even though it's overdone in fan fiction, and I can do without it at this point, but the pacing in this book was bad. It literally spends 3 pages to describe a piece of clothing. I have great imagination. I don't need 3 pages of text about clothing they wore, especially because it basically is pulled out of history. Basically all my thoughts were consumed by how slow the book is and how I want this book to move its ass a little bit faster. So I gave up. I still have the ebook. If you want to convince me that it's better than it is at the start, do that in the comments down below. That's all the books that I recently DNF'd. Tell me in the comments down below if I have to rethink about certain books and you think that I'm going to enjoy them if I'm going to give them another chance, because sometimes that happens. And also mention the books that you didn't finish in the past few months and the reasons why you decided to give up. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you soon in my next one. Bye!